Hi, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. A warm welcome to another session on programming language, part 4. We are going to cover the topic called variables today. So we've almost started programming with a little commenting so far. So we are now going to have a look at introduction to variables, that is what are variables, some real-time scenarios, and then keywords, which are reserved variables, and then we'll have a look at data types and lots of demos. To understand what a variable is, you need to understand yourself. You are identified with a name and may be located anywhere. For example, latitude or longitude. Your location keeps changing and you also keep changing. So what are variables? Variables are changing values stored in a memory. Just as you have a name, you have a variable called name where you can store the value based on your name, actual name. Or you can have a variable called location, which will store the value of your location. We are all working with data or information. We are in the world of information right now, and there's a ton of information. There's a lot of information available through the internet. So variables play a very important role because data needs to be stored somewhere and accessed somewhere. A good life is a collection of happy moments. As we all grow older, we store all our moments. And the more happy moments we create, we try to store them somewhere in our memory. Similarly, we are all trying to save the important data as well as the happy moments using the technology of computers. For example, most of you would be sharing your moments with your friends on Facebook, and which can be accessible for your entire lifetime. How is this possible with the power of variables or computers, where picture is stored somewhere in the form of bytes? Before we move on to variables, let's just do a quick recap of the fundamentals of computers. You know that bit is nothing but zeros and ones, which is the smallest data in the computer. And variables are stored inside the data, which is the address of the data. Just as you have a location on Earth, similarly, a variable has a location inside the computer. It is in the form of byte, where it is a row of 4 bits, of 8 bits. And we all need to understand what is kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, which you might have heard of. One is related to speed, and what we are talking about right now is related to the data storage. 1 kilobyte is 1024 bytes, 1 megabyte is 1024 kilobytes, 1 gigabyte is 1024 kbyte, and 1 terabyte is 1024 gigabyte. It is byte is 2 power 3 and kilobyte is 2 power 20 bytes, megabyte is 2 power 30, then gigabyte is 2 power 40. So next we'll have a look at data types. We have two types of data types. One is the primary and the secondary, or a structure type of data type. So primary data types are the integers, the numbers, and the Boolean data type, which is the fundamental, and all others are the derived data types from the basic data types. For example, you have the integer, unsigned int, double, long, and other data types. So integer occupies 2 bytes of data, char occupies 1 byte of data or 8 bits, and float occupies 4 bytes of data. An integer stores the number 1 or the sum of your grades like 500500, or it can store double values, mathematical values like the radius and the area, or the normal string type of values which contains characters, group of characters like the greeting called hello, good morning, etc. And how do we declare a data type in various languages? We will see soon. So as a first step, first decide the scope of the variable. You need to decide whether the variable needs to be accessed throughout your code or just within your function. So if it is within your function, it will be local. If it is through the entire organization, it will be global. Then decide the name and the type of the variable. As we have already discussed, make sure the name is readable, meaningful and understandable and short and simple. And then declare the variable using the syntax of the programming language. And then finally assign the value with the appropriate values. There is a special type of variable called keywords, which is common in any programming language, which are nothing but the reserved words which cannot be used as variable names. For example, you have int or long. These are all keywords which is reserved for the programming language. And you cannot use those names for your variables. And coming to the variables. So variables store data during the session, and sometimes in programming languages variables are case sensitive and some it is not case sensitive. For example, PowerShell it is not case sensitive, C# it is case sensitive, and JavaScript it is case sensitive. Please note that it is better to use camel casing and meaningful names. For example, username. This is a camel casing. And the syntax would vary from each language to language. Through practice, choose the language you like and then you get accustomed to the syntax. But most of the times it will be something like int of that is the data type followed by the variable name. It may be just the variable name or for starting off with a dollar or and then finally equal to or just give the and finally ending with semicolon. And there are two types of variables. Some are strongly typed, some are weakly typed. In some programming languages, we need to know the data type in advance. For example, C#, you need to understand whether the variable is an integer or a float or a string. But in other programming languages like PowerShell, you can just declare the variable and then assign any value you want. And also you have a scope of local or global. Let's come to the demo. So in SQL, we declare the variable using the declare keyword followed by the @ starting with @, then the variable name and the data type. In data type, the string variable in SQL is of the format varchar followed by the number of characters. And after you declare, we have to set the variables or assign the variables. So how to do that? We use the set keyword. And finally, I'm just trying to select the values from a table where the property is like, where the column name is like this particular variable. I've logged into a virtual lab of Microsoft. I've opened up SQL Server Management Studio. I'm inside the AdventureWorks database. So I've launched a new query by clicking new query and a new window opens. So let's just close all the unnecessary windows. And over here, I'm just declaring the variable called @name varchar of 3. And then I set that variable name to A. It is similar to star or wildcard character through which I can search for variables or names starting with A. And then I do a select star from person.person table where the column first name star like @name, meaning I'm searching for all the persons starting with A. So if I just execute the simple query of select star from person.person, it will just display all the values. But if I want to execute Now if I want to execute then, so it's displaying all the names, K, Ken, them. Now let's just execute the name starting with A. So if we look at the column of first name, it is all starting with A. Okay, so make sure declare and set. Now let's try for another programming language called PowerShell. In PowerShell, I have to declare the variable using $. Let's say a integer variable A equal to 1. Then I merely print the value A. Let me just select this and run. It will just display 1. Suppose I want to do addition of this variable, I'll say $A plus let's say 5. And I select this and execute. And let's say what is the output. It is added. Let's try another language now with C#. So in C#, one second. So this is a simple C# language where I've declared a short variable, integer variable, double variable, and I'm assigning the values and I'm displaying A is equal to 10. It should display, and then B should also be the value of B, and then C is equal to A plus B, which should be 30. So I've already compiled this. Let's try to execute that simple variable.exe. It should display 10, 20, 30 as expected. Now let's come to HTML programming language. In HTML, we have to use the JavaScript. Let's try with JavaScript, where we have to put the code inside the script tag. And inside that, look how we have declared the variable. We declare the variable by using var keyword followed by the variable name. And you can separate the declarations by using comma and end it with semicolon. And then finally, I'm just trying to display the demo ID on the page with the first name, last name, and the age. So if we run this code, let us see what happens. I have the code saved in basic variable.html and I open that page. It displays first name, last name is, and the age is 0, indicating you're all young forever. Let's go back to the slide. So this is how variable is declared in HTML. In PowerShell, it always starts with dollar, or even you can use special characters also in PowerShell. How to assign? You use $a equal to the value 1, or you can assign multiple variables also. And so SQL we have already discussed using declare and set keyword. Some other examples, there are various languages like C, C++, C Sharp, Java, etc. We'll quickly try to do a demo of all them. So look at this. This C example indicates the external variables where the variables are declared outside the main function, but the local variables are inside the main function. Okay. So and if you want to declare a constant variable, you use the constant keyword and make sure the code constant keyword and also the capital letters. So I'm just opening up an online compiler. So this is a C language and I'm just putting in the float and constant. This is how we use constant, and all programming languages try to use capital letters, and I'm printing the values. So let's just try for each programming language. So this is for Perl language where the declaration starts with $a. I'm just printing that value. Yes, it runs. Next is the example for Java where I'm just declaring an int variable and assigning it to 1, and I just display that in the system.out.println with the value of a. As a final example, this is the Google Go code, which is one of the latest programming language, where I'm just assigning a variable x of data type string and assigning the value hello world, and I'm printing fmt.println the value of x. Okay. So let's go back to the slide. So as a quick summary, we all saw what is variable, what are the different types of variables, and also the scopes and the different variable data types, and also how to assign a variable in different programming languages like C, C Sharp, PowerShell, SQL, and HTML, JavaScript also. A variable is nothing but a container containing values. Variables in a computer program are similar to buckets or envelopes or letters where you have the name or the address and can be referenced. So it's just the name of the variable. We don't worry about what is inside the letter or the bucket. Okay. So with that, the variable basics comes to an end, and we have completed so far commenting, debugging code and variables also. And thank you so much for your time. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.